Welcome back! So glad you can make it. Now this time, I'm actually going to be talking about a film that I saw fairly recently. It's called Elvira, Mistress of the Dark. For those wondering, Elvira is a horror host of the classic late-night picture shows like Svengoolie, Fright Night, Mystery Science Theater 3000, and the show that Elvira was inspired by, The Vampira Show. These kind of shows often showed B-list and below movies, which were often horror and science fiction. The host would often comment and make fun of the movies as they played out as well. In Elvira's case, she hosted a show known as Elvira's Movie Macabre, which had a pretty decent run and a cult following. And it's not hard to see why. Because Elvira, who was played by Cassandra Peterson, was pretty entertaining, and she definitely seemed to have fun with the role. Oh, and she had boobs. The boobs definitely helped. Whatever the case, the show lasted for 5 seasons, from 1991 to 1986, and it's had a few revivals over the years. However, that's not what I'm here to talk about today. Today, I'm here to talk about the 1988 film, Elvira, Mistress of the Dark. Directed by James Signorelli, Mistress of the Dark was Elvira's big screen debut. And although the show is pretty popular and still beloved to this day, the film doesn't see the share the same love. After all, it only has a 48% on Rotten Tomatoes and a 43% on Metacritic. So why did such an entertaining show fail to impress as a film? Well, that's what we're here to find out. This is Elvira, Mistress of the Dark. Let's review. So, interestingly, the film begins with Elvira on the show, quitting it to go perform at Vegas. Also, I wouldn't want to get sexually harassed by live-action King DDD over here either.
Name's Earl, but the ladies back home call me Longhorn. Maybe you can guess why.
Gee, I don't know. Does it have anything to do with your breath?
Oh yeah, expect a lot of puns and one-liners in this movie. After all, Elvira did a lot of those during the show. However, while they're not all bad, don't expect a Rodney Dangerfield performance either.
And as for you, you freakless cowpoke.
Get Hooter! Somebody on the floor, get her out of there!
Quick, switch to D-Wall, it's transforming into a werewolf! Unfortunately, there's a snag with Elvira's Vegas show. While the theater will allow her to perform, she has to come up with $50,000 in order to pay for it. Thankfully, the answer may lie in a Deus Ex telegram.
Dear Elvira, as executor of the estate of your great-aunt, Miss Morgana Talbot, I'm sorry to inform you of her untimely passing.
Whoa, I didn't even know I had a good aunt, much less a great one.
And I knew you'd have a bad one-liner, much less a shit one.
It says here all I have to do is come to Falwell, Massachusetts for the reading of the will, and I'll pick up my inheritance. Is that timing or what?
Or what? Deciding that this is her best option, even though she doesn't know what she's inheriting. For all we know, she could just get a box of tissues and a pencil sharpener. Elvira heads off to Falwell, Massachusetts, and she brings the beginning credits with her. How thoughtful. Now, in regards to the jokes in this movie, they're hit or miss at best. A lot of Elvira's one-liners usually fall short, except for a few. But a good amount of the sight gags are actually pretty clever, especially in the opening credits. My favorite has to be Elvira picking up a hitchhiker and when she gets pulled over by a cop for speeding, opening her glove compartment to reveal all of her tickets. That being said, we also have gags like her stopping for gas with a disgusting attendant watching, which is pretty weak and goes on for too long. The fact that it ends in an explosion doesn't even save it. She eventually makes it to Farwell, Mass, which looks like it still is in the 30s, and her welcome is mixed at best.
Listen, young lady, I don't know who you are or where you came from, but you most certainly don't fit in this town. Why, you don't even fit in that dress.
Listen, sister, if I want your opinion, I'll beat it out of you.
Oh dear, you sounded like Dirty Harry just then. Well, most of the older crowd doesn't seem to like Elvira. The younger crowd takes her just fine. especially the teenage boys. Well, that's certainly surprising. After all, what would a bunch of horny teenage boys ever see in Elvira? 'Tis a mystery. Also, I have to include this joke, because it did make me chuckle when I first saw it. Elvira goes to a repair shop to get her car repaired and asks the old attendant if there's a motel around. He tells her about it and then just goes on a rant. You know, that classic old people rant where they just keep going and going. Then eventually she walks off and he notices. And what's the first thing he says when she's gone?
Nice tits.
Okay, I have to use that clip in some of my later videos. Elvira finds a motel where her welcome just continues to grow kinder and kinder.
Sorry, we're booked solid. We do have a room. Remember the trucker with the bad skin that checked out this morning?
Thanks, Johnny. Now, can you tell me a bit more about ska?
How should I know?
How about now?
Nothing but a modern offshoot of reggae. The updated white rock influences. Definitely upbeat. It'll never become really popular because even though they've made the backbeat more conventional, it's still too exotic for mass acceptance.
We then meet the hotel owner's granddaughter, and I think Granny here is a little old-fashioned.
Is that makeup I see on your face, young lady? How many times have I told you? You're too young to wear makeup.
Grandma, all the other girls at school are wearing makeup.
But if all the other girls at school jumped off a cliff that you were born with, you have...
I hate to interrupt this little episode of the Waltons, but could I get a room?
Thanks, Elvira. We needed that scene to end. Hoping to find some fun, Elvira heads down to the local bowling alley, where we meet our local bumpkin henchman, Billy, played by Frank Collison, and Travis, played by Jeff Conaway. And what do I mean by henchman? We'll get to that.
Hey, baby. I got something to show you.
Billy, that is no way to talk to a lady. So, how about a blowjob?
Thankfully, Elvira can take care of herself. She's packing more than just a big chest.
I cut you, man.
She's stabbing.
Or not. Okay, seriously, where do you think packing a fake knife is going to get you? It's not like it can protect you from guys like this. Then again, she may not need to, as the town's knight in shining armor arrives, much to the dismay of the bowling alley owner, Patty, who's played by Susan Kellerman.
Look, honey, I don't know which hole you crawled out of, but I suggest you crawl right back in if you know what's good for you.
Yeah, you better watch out. You could put some of these eyes out with them things.
Hey, you're one to talk. The man who saved her is Bob Redding, played by Daniel Green.
It's time to do.
I said Daniel Green, not Dan Green. Bob is nice enough to give Elvira and the audience some backstory to the town. Turns out the town is run by an uptight council who runs everything very conservatively. And, in my opinion, this is the biggest gripe I have of this movie, the setting. This is literally nothing like Massachusetts. It does not feel genuine at all. Look, I'm not saying it has to be spelled out like having it by the ocean or serving seafood everywhere or taking place in Boston. Plus, there's a lot of old-fashioned towns in Mass, and I get that this movie is somewhat exaggerated. But still, nothing screams New England for me. It feels like it's down south. Plus, Patty even sounds like she has a borderline southern accent sometimes.
Seems to me it's all this cheap little tart's fault. Get switched!
I guess in your business it pays to advertise.
Also, a lot of what the town represents has more of a southern vibe to it. From the overly Christian Catholic values to the way the community treats Elvira, it screams like a southern small town to me. There's literally one thing that connects us to Massachusetts, but we don't get it until later on, and for the most part, none of this feels genuinely like Massachusetts. Then again, what do I know? I've only lived here all my life. Whatever. Anyway, we find out a little bit more about Bob, like how he runs a local movie house. Gee, any subtle connections to Elvira there? Elvira eventually makes it to the reading, where we meet her great-uncle Vincent Talbot, played by W. Morgan Shepherd. He's not too pleased to hear that Elvira, well, exists, because Elvira gets his sister's home, dog, and recipe book, while he gets the rest of the estate and holdings.
Of which there is none.
Phew. Something tells me that Vincent and Morgana weren't on good terms. Elvira is not too pleased about this, as she was expecting a ton of money. What a surprise! It's almost like she jumped in on an opportunity where she didn't even know what she had to begin with. Vincent isn't happy either, as he wanted to get his sister's recipe book. He complains about it to the henchman we saw earlier.
I don't get it, man. Boss, what's so important about a dumb recipe book?
That dumb recipe book contains more power than your feeble little minds can ever imagine.
Alright, so it's a spell book and you're a warlock. Got it. Vincent comes across Elvira and asks to buy the book. And Elvira does actually say a pretty clever line here.
I must apologize for my behavior in the office. It's just that your appearance was a bit of a shock to me.
It's okay. My appearance is kind of a shock to everybody.
We also get a rather clever joke here as the woman Elvira met earlier walks by her and Vincent while they're discussing about payment for the book.
I'd be willing to pay you, say, $50.
Yeah, sure, I'll do it for $50. Oh.
Elvira goes to see her house, and of course we get that classic, "That's not your house, that one is" joke. Always a classic. Except it's not. It's really stupid and lame. I wish they'd stop doing it.
Yes, you could. But your house is over there.
What's wrong with that house? Yeah, it's old and needs work, but if any shows on HGTV have taught me anything, you'd be surprised at what people would buy. Vincent has a run-in with a lady whose name is, get this, Chastity Pariah. Subtle. She's played by Edie McClurg, and her character is essentially the second cousin of Dolores Umbridge.
I will have order.
Elvira is then introduced to her dog, Algonquin, who's voiced by Frank Welker of all people.
Let's split up and search for this ape man who eats hamburgers.
As she explores the house and gives Algonquin a makeover, also the nickname Gonk, Vincent soon arrives to buy the book. Elvira is eager to sell it, but Algonquin doesn't share the same enthusiasm and hides the book. This doesn't go well with Vincent.
Warren, the book was just on that table.
You promised me that book.
Hey, don't get your... I'm sure it'll turn up.
Yes.
Of course it will. Forgive me.
I'm totally not evil, I swear to Satan. God. So, that night, a group of teens sneak into Elvira's property hoping to get a glimpse of her getting ready for bed. And for all my male viewers out there, a gentle reminder, this movie is PG-13.
Mirror, mirror on the wall, who's the most drop-dead gorgeous one of all?
Alexandra Delorio.
Oh, you're just saying that.
Don't flatter yourself. The boys try to get some good pictures, though I think they should just stop fighting amongst themselves. Then they should have just asked. Elvira's pretty chill about people looking through her window. Probably because Michael Myers probably looks through her window every Sunday. After being awakened from her slumber, Elvira looks around the house, hearing a mysterious voice call to her. She finds a room upstairs that has a lot of strange things in it, including the Crypt Keeper's grandma. Hey, don't be scared. She could probably introduce him and you can make shitty puns together. It's a match made in hell.
Now that's entertainment.
The teens all come to help Elvira because, let's face it, despite looking dead, she's the most lively thing in this New England town. We get in a montage of them fixing up the house and making more PG-13 sex puns. That hopefully will go over your children's heads. But not yours.
Randy, can you hand me that rag? Randy?
I think Randy's getting rather randy. What? Oh, come on! That pun was better than anything they've been making so far. The house is eventually painted and some would still buy it nowadays. In case you haven't guessed by now, the council is not too pleased by Elvira's presence.
Henceforth, all students will be subject to immediate expulsion if they are found in the company of that floozy.
You know, I'm no council member, nor am I on a board of directors for a school. I'm also not a lawyer, but I'm pretty sure that's illegal.
I think we need to resort to name calling. I think what Calvin is trying to say is that this Elvira is a person of easy virtue.
They think she's a righteous dude. So the council agrees to do everything they can to make sure Elvira leaves once she sells the house. Which is why one of them, who happens to be the real estate agent of the town, tries to make a move on her and gets promptly rejected, making it impossible for her to sell the house herself. Right on it, guys. Well done.
I told y'all, come up with the money. Heck, I was just 6 inches from selling this house today.
I wouldn't be that generous, Elvira. Elvira goes around town and decides to apply for a job to earn some money. Unfortunately, news in an 80s movie travels faster than modern-day social media, so she's rejected everywhere she goes, thanks to Pariah and Mrs. Meeker, the motel owner. Yeah, really on top of things, guys, in regards to getting her out of here. You're doing everything in your power to make sure she doesn't earn any money or sell the house. She'll be out of here in no time.
You fools! You idiots!
Thankfully, Elvira manages to talk with Bob and convinces him to have her host a horror movie at his theater. But not before hilariously discrediting herself even more. And gives us a free F-bomb. Nice.
Oh, Bob, how can I ever repay you?
I'll run you over with my New England Southern charm, Bob. You'll see. Also, big shock, it seems Vincent isn't all on the level. In more ways than one. Careful, he might summon some ghoulies.
He who holds the Book of Sight, when the moon is drained of all its light, will then be ruler of the night, master of the dark.
Double, double, toilet and trouble, fire, bird, and cauldron bubble. Grimgrin and ghosts come out to socialize. So, I guess on the night of the lunar eclipse, Vincent will become super powerful, making it impossible for him to be stopped even with the book. But then, why is he so obsessed with getting the book? It's not like Elvira knows what's in it or has enough power to stop him at this point. I don't know, maybe he wants a potion that'll make him look like Mel Gibson. Elvira goes to the bowling alley and talks to the kids about getting to the premiere. However, they at first say no because if they're caught with her, they can get expelled. Which, again, I don't think has any legal precedence.
Principal, Mr. Cobb?
You'd kill us if we went to your show. Not to mention our parents.
Kill your parents, too?
In this town, it wouldn't surprise me. Elvira, of course, shows her acting chops by trying to convince them to come. And when I say acting chops, I mean a chop to the head. Honestly, you can skip this part and not miss anything. Except this part. This part's actually pretty good.
Tell him I was more than just a great set of boobs. I was also an incredible pair of legs.
You can expel us all.
I don't know about the rest of you, but I'll be there.
Me too. Count on me. I'm sorry, Elvira. We'll all come to your show.
Great. 12 o'clock sharp. Be there or be square.
And so, all the kids sneak out and make it to the show. However, Patty is there too, eager to clean up Elvira's act. Or, in this case, mess up. Hey, at least it wasn't pig's blood. Last time someone did that, didn't have great results.
Just wait till I get my hands on that Patty. I'm gonna rip every single bleach blonde hair out of her scalp, gouge out her eyeballs, and use her head for a bowling ball.
Well, the joke will be on you. Patty owns the bowling alley, so you'll have to pay her first. After Elvira is cleaned up, she and Bob decide to share some dinner, with Elvira finally looking into the book. Ignoring all the weird shit inside, she makes a dish that she thinks is a casserole. And judging by her cooking, she doesn't really follow the recipe.
Dash of baking powder, dash of baking powder, come on, dash of baking powder. Dash.
Once she's finished, it's time to eat. If they don't get eaten themselves, that is.
Here's dinner.
Hey, come on, I was just bored. Baby needs milk. And hey, I get to use this joke for the first time.
I'll swallow your soul! I'll swallow your soul!
Swallow this.
After cleaning up, Gonk grabs the book and brings it upstairs to the room where Elvira had her dream.
Oh, yuck, you smothered all over it. Now what do you want?
My favorite chew toy is in here, man. Open it. Actually, that's not why Gonk wants them to open the chest.
Dearest Elvira, for all these years I protected you from the truth, but the time has now come when your only protection is the truth.
Your father was a king. Your mother was a queen, which makes you a certified prince.
Say what? Let me see this.
Okay, that's not what it actually says. Morgana in her letter reveals that Elvira's mother was known as the Mistress of the Dark, and Vincent desired her powers. Vincent destroyed her mother, and Morgana sent Elvira away, entrusting her to her own familiar. What's a familiar? Well, it tends to be a creature or animal that loyally serves a witch, and also has the power to shapeshift.
Every witch has one. They're like a pet that can change into almost anything.
Hey, excuse me, I just said that. It's revealed that Elvira's ring, which was the pendant that her aunt gave her, holds magical powers, and that she needs to protect the book from Vincent, which thankfully she agrees is a good idea. But first, a little well-deserved payback. Yikes. I've seen more lively celebration than a funeral. Alright, Elvira, time to get revenge. With a perfectly cooked meat casserole. Wait, that doesn't sound right.
But shoot! Must have screwed it up when they substituted the Falembra with some hamburger helper.
See? This is why you follow the recipe. Or at the very least, find better substitutes. Yeah, well, maybe they'll all get diarrhea from this and stay on the toilet all night.
I feel a little odd. Suddenly, it's very warm.
Remind you of anything?
Remind you of anything?
You be there. Mine. Oh, boy. Am I a horn dog?
What the?
Is this face
Oh. Oh. Well, at least the party got more lively. Damn, talk about not taking a hint. Honey, if he wasn't into you before Elvira, he ain't gonna be into you when she's here. Well, looks like Elvira needs to spell it out for her.
Excuse me.
Well, looks like Elvira's chest is the least fake one here. What? Oh, they're real. Huh. The council is not too pleased with what happened and blame Elvira for the incident. Although, let's be honest, the town is so over-the-top conservative, everyone probably has a lot of sexual frustration anyway. It was bound to happen. Vincent then comes in and provides a solution. And remember when I said there was literally only one reason this place was connected to Massachusetts? here it is.
It so happens that there is a law on the books that dates back to the Salem trials. The charge, my fellow council members, is witchcraft.
Okay, first off, I'm not overly sure that's illegal anymore. After all, it was over 300 years ago. Second, they then immediately arrest Elvira and put her in jail without a trial. I'm pretty sure the people who were killed by the Salem witch trials were done so after, a trial! Oh, whatever. Bob tries to get the book and save Elvira, but he's knocked out by Vincent and his goons. At the same time, the teens try to mount a rescue, and Gonk transforms and escapes to go help Bob.
Save this wretched creature's soul, even though her creamy white flesh will burn and sizzle and...
Yeah! Burn the witch! Even though the Salem witches weren't actually killed by burning, they were hung. Whatever, the movie's not paying attention to its setting, so why should I? Burn the witch!
Any last words? Just one.
Yeah, I would have gone with See You in Hell, but that's just me.
Hold it, Sheriff. What you're doing is wrong. Patty?
What's this? Has Patty had a change of heart?
It'll catch faster if you light it in several places.
Oh, never mind. Nope, she's still a bitch. Jesus. They did not need to go there, but by golly, am I glad they did.
Hi, Bob.
Patty! You're not a very nice person.
Damn! That's the equivalent of a you in this town. Eventually, Elvira remembers that she's a witch and uses her ring to put out the fire. But now that Vincent has the book, I think Elvira is the least of the town's problems. Especially because it looks like he's turning into Pumpkinhead. Alright, time for Elvira to put Vincent in his place.
Oh, so you want to play rough, eh? Well, take this!
Well, the ring is a bust for now. Let's try going Rambo on his ass.
Did you think you could stop me with your toys?
No, but I figured it'd be worth a shot. Look!
Really? He's a nigh unstoppable sorcerer and he fell for look? So a chase begins between Elvira and Vincent, which leads them back to the house. Travis is there and tries to make a move on Elvira. That goes about as well as you'd expect.
Gotcha, bitch!
Luckily, Elvira is able to chop off Vincent's hands, and better yet, is the hand with the ring on it. Still, Vincent has a few tricks up his sleeve.
Hadouken! Hadouken! Hadouken!
Alright, time for Elvira to grab the ring and fight back. This will be a battle to remember. Oh, that was easy. So much for the power of the eclipse and Elvira's ring being useless, huh?
So what did the insurance guy say?
My policy doesn't cover acts of demons.
Hey, that's your own fault. You should have bought demon insurance. The townspeople then show up and reveal they've had a change of heart. Even Patty apologizes.
I hope there are no hard feelings.
Don't worry, she's bigger than that.
Yeah, a lot bigger.
Elvira?
Elvira then discovers that she's the sole heir to her uncle's estate, which means she inherits everything he has. That also means she can do her Vegas show. And what kind of show is it exactly? It's a burlesque and singing show, of course. What else? So, what do I think of the film overall? I mean, I usually don't mind campy, silly movies, and this is what this movie is. which is actually rather ironic because the point of Elvira's show was to mock these kinds of movies. While there are some funny moments, the rest fall flat behind a subpar plot and okay characters. So, would I recommend this one? Well, if you don't mind this type of movie, then sure. But if you really want to experience Elvira at her best, I would watch the show. Well, thank you for joining me on this review. Until the next film, farewell.